Good evening, everyone. This is G331979 here, and this is about black, or the so-called African American crime, but I say black Americans and crime. Black homicide decline. Total of homicides per year by black offenders from 1995 to 2011 alone. Sources FBI. Uniform Crime Department. Okay. So at 1995, it peaked at 8,285 homicides. That whole year. Following year, in 96, it dropped at 76,83. Kept dropping. Okay? It really dipped at 99 at 5,138 homicides. Then it slowly climbed and it peaked at 2003 at 5,729. Then it rose again at 05 at 6632. Then it dipped again. Then it went up, just like real crime. Then it dipped. And it dipped. Well, 2011 is at 5,486. Now, if my assumptions are correct, from 1991 to 2015, crime is down at 57%. I wonder why. I digress. White on white crime versus black on white crime homicides. Exact same period, 95, in this case from 95 to 2012. It peaked at 1995 at 4,124. And it dipped, then it slightly peaked, then it dipped again in 1999 at 2,779. It literally dropped. Then it slightly went up by like close to 1,000 at 2,000 at, where was it? White on white homicide was dipping. So by 2012, their homicide numbers are 2,614 compared to 1995. Now here's black on white crime. That exact same year, it peaked at 699 compared to white on white crime. Of that exact same year, which was 4,124. More white people were killing each other than blacks were killing you. Literally. It's been steady on a low decline. Either it slightly peaked at, slightly peaked at 2003. No, I'm sorry. 2003. A little steady flatline peak. It had its highest peak at 2006, 2006 and 2007, the numbers haven't changed. It was 573. Then it went down. And 2012, it also increased 2015. At the lowest rate, it's 431. Blacks commit less homicide towards whites than the other way around. Matter of fact, whites commit more homicide amongst each other and to other ethnic groups than blacks and the other ethnic groups commit homicide to them. Even though their shit supposedly decreased at 36.6%, 2,614 compared to a decrease on black on white homicide, which is 38.3%. This is still higher than this. Why? It's mathematics. Look at the culture. It will tell you. Now, back to what I was saying. Every few years, an incident occurs in the black community where a black man is handled with excessive force or shot to death by the police. The confrontation may be taped or due to the surrounding circumstances. Black American community and sometimes the media will rally behind the alleged victim and demand justice. In 2005, the U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Statistics released a report titled Contacts Between Police and Public and Findings from 2002 National Survey. This was a sampling of 80,000 Americans that collected information regarding traffic stops alone and the circumstances surrounding the contact with the police. The report found that 9% of white drivers were stopped. 9%. 9% of black drivers were stopped. Yes. 9% of Hispanic drivers were stopped. Yes. Now look at this chart. I don't know if anybody can see it. Green represents white, blue represents black, yellow represents Hispanic. Why nobody don't add Asians or other ethnic groups in there? Because they actually play a role. But I digress. The percentage of each race ethnicity that was issued a warrant when stopped by the police. Green, 27%, 27.4% were white, was stopped and issued a warning. 18.3% black, 18.2% Hispanic. However, black Americans and Hispanics were much less likely to be issued a simple traffic warning from police during these traffic stops, and were much more likely to be stopped and searched. Here's where it gets interesting. Person or vehicle. Handcuffed or arrested. Remember these colors? Okay. Here it goes. 3.5% are white that's ever been searched. Physically searched. 10% alone are black that's been searched. 11% alone are Hispanic. Now here it goes the tricky part. People gotta learn. Now you gotta separate the incidents from those that have been searched versus those that's been handcuffed and searched. 2% of white folks been handcuffed. 6.4% of black folk been handcuffed, and 5.6% of Hispanic folk been handcuffed. These two, you go to see this drop where I'm saying this article, it's going to be predominantly involved more than this. And then arrested. 2% of white folks are arrested. 5.8% of black folks arrested, and 5.2% of Hispanic folks arrested. Even though the same percentage of whites and blacks and Hispanics were stopped by the police, 9% black Americans were 3 times more likely to be searched, person or vehicle, than whites. True. I went through it, so I know what I'm talking about. More than 3 times more likely to be handcuffed. I almost got handcuffed about 4 years ago over some bullshit clause. Almost 3 times more likely to be arrested. Again, like I said. Another report related from the U.S. Department of Justice note that during the same year, 9% of black men who were stopped and not arrested had been searched compared to 3% of white men. Hispanics were the only group searched without being arrested more than black Americans, which is true. 3%, 9%, 11%. Incarceration. War on drugs and its effects on black marriages in the 1980s and 90s. Here it goes. Red is marriage, black is prison. Okay? The U.S. incarcerates more of its citizens than any other country on the planet. United States ranks number 1, then China, then Russia, then Brazil. United States got over 7.6 million people in prison. over half alone are black and brown. But nobody don't question this. Okay. This is the percentage where black men over the past 30 years never been married. Okay? That means they've never been married. Now, 23%, which is above 5%, are in prison. Here's the peak in 1990. Here's the peak in 1990. 1990 alone, between 1990 to 2000, in a decade, 572,900 black men were in prison. Bang. Don't forget, over here in 1971, LBJ declared the war on drugs. Declared the war on poverty. In 1984, Reagan signed a Sanction Reform Act right here. In 1983, I think, or 84? No, 1984. Yep. And up here, the increase of never been married black men continue despite the increase of incarceration. Wonder why? Reagan signed an Anti-Drug Abuse Act in 1986. You can look this up. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, black Americans have sentences for drug convictions more than 1 year. And the state prisons, then why do you think the prisons are so overcrowded and have to keep rebuilding prisons? And state prisons than any other offense. Approximately 122,600 blacks were under the state jurisdiction for drugs, account for 21.1% of all black state inmates in 2009 alone. That's a fucking lot, people. This is higher than the 17.8% of all inmates incarcerated for drug offense. Robbery was the cause of the second largest percentage of black inmates with 18.9%, followed by the property crimes, which include burglary, larceny, and motor theft. Others at 15.2% murder convictions were responsible for 14.4% of black Americans in the state prisons. Look at this. The numbers of black men and women in the state federal prison declined by more than 20,000 between 2000 and 2010. Wow, that's a decade. 11-year span, pretty much. While the total of white incarcerations increased by 28,000. Remember, from 2000 to 2010, the incarcerations between black men and black women has been at a decline for 20,000. Whereas white male predominantly incarcerations increased by 28,600. Hispanic incarcerations experienced the largest gain increase by 129,000 during the exact same period. Wow. They're going after brown people hard. And it's not from immigrants. We talk about Hispanic-born Americans in the United States. Of the approximately 127,500 increase in the local jail population between 2000 and 2010, only 26,900 were black Americans, which were much less than the 71,100 increase of whites in local jails. Who commits more crime? I'm staring at the data. Hispanic population increase of 24,000 was the lowest during the exact same period. Here's the year. So, crime for mainly black and brown people and everywhere in between has been dropping, but the incarcerations of false accusations and search and seizure and falsified arrests has been increasing. Is whites committing more crime? Well, if you look at the past year, 71,000 increase in 2010 and 11, and I wouldn't be surprised 2012 and 2013 and 14. It speaks for itself. This G33 1979 here, and this is Black Americans in Crime. Black homicide's been on the decline. I'm out. Stay tuned.